Hey everybody, welcome back to the next one in my series featuring my poster collection, so I can decide which ones I'm going to keep and which ones I am going to sell off at some point. So last video was a letter F, so obviously this one is the letter G. So first up in my G collection is The Gate. Now I've mentioned before how much I love this film. I was really happy to finally get this poster. It was actually one I really wanted for a while. It's not in the best condition. If I ever come across one, especially at a reasonable price and in better condition, I probably would get it. But at the very least, I'm definitely very happy to have one in my collection. Next up is one I'm so happy when I finally got it, and that is for Lucio Fulci's The Gates of Hell. Now this is one of those that means a lot to me because when I was a kid and at the video store and I'd see that VHS box that utilized the poster artwork on the front, I mean, oh man, did that used to just send my imagination wild. So I've wanted the poster for a long time, and then just a couple of years ago, I finally got one. So happy. I actually do have it framed up on my wall in this room, which you will see in the room tour video. So that's definitely one I'm keeping in my collection. Next up is for the movie Ghost Story, kind of a moody film that I always loved, sort of just the stark, simple design of the poster. Next up is for the movie Ghost Warrior, which actually got a really kick out of. It's kind of one of those fun Empire films. Plus it has to do with ninjas and samurais and stuff, so yeah, that was gonna get my attention. Next up is for Ghostbusters. Now this is an alternate poster. There's a couple different ones. Obviously everyone knows the main one with the famous, logo on it, which I don't have, which I would love to get at some point. But this is still a cool one to have. I see it pop up every so often, and it actually goes for, semi-decent amount. So happy to have it in my collection. Next one is for John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars, and this is definitely a film that grew on me. I thought it was okay the first time I saw it, but it's definitely one that over the years I've definitely come to appreciate more and more. So how to get the poster? I think it's one that I think I got for $1 or something like that. And one of my goals was to try and get every John Carpenter film, like the poster for every John Carpenter film into my collection. I don't know if I'm going to pull that off. I think I'm still missing 3, possibly. So I don't know. Next up is quite a poster for the movie Girly, a really quirky but really good film from I think the early 70s, like a UK film. And of course that poster, I mean, that's like, tell me that doesn't just sort of, make you like, what the heck is that about? Next up is for a film I love quite a bit, and that is Gladiator. This is the teaser poster. Just because I really liked sort of the tagline that it has on it. Next up, I have 2 posters for Larry Cohen's God Told Me To. Now, I think there actually are 3 versions of the poster. There's one, I believe, in color. So I have the black and white version. And this next one is for the alternate title of God Told Me To under the title Demon, which was how they released it in certain parts of the country, just, testing different titles, see how it did. And this is actually the one I had first. So I had it signed by Larry Cohen at one of the times I met him. Next up, for one of my top favorite films of all time, and that is The Godfather. I was so happy when I actually got this poster and got an amazing deal on it. I mean, I know it's basically very simplistic, but I think that's also why it's also kind of iconic. And I do have 2 lobby cards from The Godfather. One of them sort of reveals a bit of a spoiler, which is kind of funny. And then the other one, which is very cool, which, Al Pacino's Michael Corleone, sort of having the hand kissed. That one actually I have framed in this room. It's actually, let's see, where am I sitting? Right back in that corner back there. And I also lucked out and eventually got a poster for Godfather Part 2, one I also got a really amazing deal on. And if you're going to have the first 2, you might as well get Godfather Part 3 to round out the trilogy. Now, I know some people kind of really sort of put down Part 3. I love Part 3. I acknowledge it doesn't compare to the first 2, but I also don't need it to. Despite some of its faults, I still think Godfather Part 3 is a great film. Next up, as I mentioned before, I'm a big Eddie Murphy fan, so I have a couple of his posters from some of his movies, and this was one because I lucked out in getting in a lot. And this is for The Golden Child. So a couple of the posters I have for some of his films, I lucked out and gotten a lot that had just a bunch of them in it. Next up is for Godzilla 1985. This is one I actually bought. I was actually going to give it to a buddy of mine, kind of think because he's a huge Godzilla fan, but I never got to. So I don't know. I may just end up kind of mailing it to him one day as a surprise. Next up is an alternate title for the movie Gog, also known as Gog the Killer, which is sort of this fun, kind of cheesy 50 sci-fi films, and do with like a robot gone wild and everything, and if I remember correctly, I believe it's a 3D movie, if I think. Just a fun movie, and I was kind of surprised when I found the poster for it. So I was like, yeah, it's pretty cheap too. So I decided to grab it. Next one, another one of my favorite films, and that is Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. This was actually very early on when I started collecting posters. This was actually one of the early ones I got. It's not in 100% pristine condition, but it's good enough, and I'm just happy to have one. Next one is for a film I love quite a bit, and that is the movie Gotcha. Really, really fun film that is finally also getting a Blu-ray release. So when I saw the poster for it, naturally I had to get it. And this was one I bought, I think for $1, an alternate version. I think this was one of those international posters, which means they're printed in the US, but for other English-speaking countries, and so they usually tend to have like alternate artwork and everything. And again, this was just kind of almost like too weird not to get, again, especially for $1. Next one is for Eli Roth's Green Inferno, which I got, again, I think for fairly cheap. And it's also one that features the original release date. Well, it doesn't have the year, but it's actually because it got delayed, I think, like 2 years or something. Next one is for Grindhouse, the Robert Rodriguez Tarantino film. And this is definitely one that I really, really like having, and I've been trying to get as many signatures on it. Obviously, with such a name cast, not always easy to do, but I've lucked out at least with a couple of them. So that's one I'll definitely update, assuming I ever get to meet some more people from it. And then finally, rounding out my G collection, and that is for Ghoulies. Film I love, mention it a lot. This is definitely a poster I also really, really love, and it's one I actually want to put in a frame and hang it up in my guest bathroom. And no, I'm not joking about that. I actually want to do that. So that's it for the letter G. Obviously, the next one will be the letter H, where I will also showcase some of my Halloween posters in that. So definitely let me know your thoughts on which ones you think I should keep and which ones you think I should probably let go. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.